Nerds! Welcome to devlog 6 of Gavle. So, to get right to the point, we detailed this thing. Yep, look at it. So I know what you're thinking. Crash, wasn't it like 3 weeks ago you did a video where this was all dev textures? And you would be right. Yes, that is exactly what happened. And while we started slightly before that video came out, it wasn't much longer. So, as I mentioned in the previous video, Pear joined the team, and we have been going absolutely nuts crunching to get this ready for this year's Smithmas. We were a little delayed. I don't like to have to crunch this hard, but we wanted to get it out in time. We didn't want to have to loop it back around until next year. We were excited about the project, and it was fun. There was fun to be had in the crunch, but I'm also very tired. Pear is very tired. We absolutely went nuts. We got lots of custom assets implemented. The finale sequence is not quite done yet, but we are actually very far along. Huge shout out to all of my playtesters, everybody who's joined, all the people who have given me feedback, even on this version that I released a B2 like a day ago, and then B3 the day after that. And we have found so many little bugs and little tiny things that is going to happen when you go from completely undetailed to completely detailed. But we're so happy with it. This map is looking great. I could not have anticipated this map to have turned out as well as it did. Huge shout out to Pear for putting in the work. He primarily did most of this detailing. I did a lot of interiors. I'm the beam expert for some of the interior spaces. I did those, and I cleaned up some of his stuff, and then he would go forward and expand on what I did. And he was the primary detailer. And then it was my job to clean things up and get the map working again, getting it compilable. We are hitting so many limits on this map right now. If you know the technical side of things, we're hitting the T-Junk limit. I have not fixed that. We're just compiling without T-Junks enabled. There's the no junked command. I would prefer not to, so we're going to try to work on getting that under the limit, but right now that is not going to physically happen. We're also pretty consistently just at the limit of brush sides. I've converted just about 70 different staircases to props using Proper++, which is integrated right into Hammer++, and it's absolutely amazing to use. First time I've ever honestly used Proper. I've never had the need to real dramatically have to do this, but I definitely did this time. Like I said, it was almost 70 different staircases I have converted, along with some of the support beams on the walls and a few other pieces of like kind of high brush work detailing. And that got us under, just barely. At one point, one of my compiles was 3 brushes under the brush size limit, which is just stupid. But yeah, we're so happy. It is on the workshop now. I should probably have mentioned that sooner. I'm burying what the important news here, but it's on the workshop. There's a link in the description. Please go check it out. Please go subscribe if you want to see it in the game. Go vote on it. If you don't, give us some feedback too. I'd love to hear it. We are still actively developing the map. We want to hear more of what we should do on it, what we should clean up. There's still some little gameplay tweaks here and there I want to do. There's a few places that are a little bit too tight that I want to widen up. The map isn't done. I'm kind of thinking of this as a late beta, almost like pre-RC level map, which typically in RC map is a release candidate. It means your map is ready. You think you could pitch this to Valve and be like, hey, here you go. This is done. I'm kind of thinking of it as like just before that point. But everything's there, and we're still actively working on it. Like literally as I'm talking right now, Pear is continuing the detailing. There's a few areas like the blue spawn room and the spy tech kind of warehouse in the middle of the map that we want to put a little bit more work into. But it's so super close. I'm honestly amazed we got it done. It was actually in exactly 1 month to the day that Pear joined the team. We fully detailed the map and released it to the workshop in a pretty much there state. And yeah, it's been a ride. It's been a very big blur the last few weeks, especially. I was pretty much full-time working on this, and he was as well. We had a really good system where his sleep, we're the same time zone, but his sleep schedule was messed up more than mine. So he would work all night, and then he would go to sleep in the morning, pass the map over to me. I'd get my daughter off to school or whatever, and then grind all day while she was at school. He would get up around the time that my daughter was getting back from school, and I would pass the map back over, and there was days where it was probably almost 20 to 24 hours worth of work happening on the map straight between the two of us. There was also other times too, really interestingly, that we ended up overlapping our work. So like at one point I was working on the clipping while he was in the map. So there was a few days where there was like a good 4-hour overlap where I was working on it and he was working on it, but I was working on a slightly older version of the VMF. And then when I got the new version over, I would just go to the viz groups, turn everything off except for the player clips, delete all of them on the latest version, go to my version I was working on, copy them all over with paste special, and then it would just be exactly what we needed. And it worked out really well to do that on a few things. There was another point where he did some detailing and he ended up copying that over the same method. And it was a little janky. There were times I think we messed up and he'd sent a version over at one point and I worked on the previous iteration of it on accident and I cooked for quite a while, and then he was like, hey, I think you're missing some stuff, and I was just like, oh no, and then he did the same thing like a week later, but we managed to work it out. There was only a few mistakes. Our flow could have been better. There's definitely proper techniques for sharing work like that, like GitHub style or something, that we probably could have done, but we didn't. And it worked. If we were in less of a crunch, it wouldn't have been so bad, but I think our brains are fried a few points and we made some mistakes. So yeah, I think we're pretty much there on it. We've got a little bit of cleanup work to do, and then I think we'll be at the RC1 level basically this week while it's on the workshop. So again, please go check it out in the description. Go subscribe, go vote, whatever you need. If you want to run around it, you can download it there, or TF2 Maps. Run around. If you see anything odd, send me some feedback. There's a few dev textures here and there and little clipping errors and texture issues, and a couple rooms aren't 100% finished, but they're 90% there. But it's pretty much there, and I keep saying this, but it's kind of blowing my mind that the map has come this far. So anyway, I'm rambling. Once again, huge shout out to everybody who has given me feedback over the last year of this map's development. I took some breaks from it here and there, but I've been constantly testing it, both stages, and the map could not be in this position without all of that testing and without all the people giving me feedback and letting me know how it plays. I'm making these maps for other people to play, so I need people to play them and I need people to see it. If you want to join in on that testing, we are testing every Friday still. I will probably be testing the latest version of this. I've just joined my Discord server in the description. And we do it about Friday, 7:30 Eastern time is generally when we start. And I usually do some other maps from other mappers involved in the scene. Try to spread the love around a little bit while I have a full server. And if you want to come help us do that, please join. But I think that's about it. I hope you enjoyed watching these fades between the versions. I'm actually really excited to see them myself as I do this video. I'm recording the audio first, and then I'm going to do the video part afterwards. But huge shout out to Agent Maxwell, Allison, Canibian, and all these other fine nerds on my Patreon. Also huge shout out to Midnight Sono and Cassapillar and everybody else who did feedback for the B2 version going into B3. They found hundreds probably of little issues and bugs that I went through every single one and got probably 99% of them fixed for the latest version, and they're still giving me more feedback, and we're still finding more little things, and that's pretty normal. But huge shout out to them, and a huge shout out to especially Cassapillar for who's not only a Patreon supporter but who showed up to our first test with this sign. It gave me a really good chuckle. So thank you, everybody. I hope to see you on the map, and I'll see you in game.